Ruben Amorim is here. So, with the Amorim era at Old Trafford well and truly underway, let's examine the most fascinating facts about the second most expensive manager in football history.
I'm back from the dead, from the back of my head. Been gone and facing horrors that should never be said. The wrath and the grit from the pit of despair. Been taking every whip and word, I've never been spared. They say tomorrow's never promised, honest. They say the angels are among us. Lock me up in the maze. Turn out the lights. I was born, I was raised for this. Turn out the lights.
All the people are hungry for success. Even in difficult moments, I think it's a special club. Manchester United is the biggest club in England. I think I am where I'm supposed to be. That's the feeling.
All the places I've been, all the blood that I bled. I've been broken down and beat up, but I still get ahead. All the faceless embraces and the tasteless two faces. Killed and resurrected, cause I'll never be dead.
You will see an idea. This I can guarantee. The most important thing for me is to create the principles, the identity, and the character that we had in the past.
Lock me up in the maze. Turn out the lights. I was born, I was raised for this. Turn out the lights. Lock me up inside a cage. Just throw away the key, don't worry about me.
It's like the character of the players, the way they see the club. That's why we are Manchester United.
I can do this with my eyes closed. Turn out the lights.
Most footballers out there understandably aim for longevity and dream of playing until their late 30s. Amorim, however, was built different. He was nothing special as a footballer, but he was destined to achieve great things after his playing career. As a player, Amorim was a relatively well-known name, best remembered for his 9 years at Benfica. Despite making over 300 appearances as a professional, his knee problems forced an early exit from the pitch. That happened in 2016, and then he took a short break from the game only to return to the pitches, but with becoming a top manager in his mind. He seemed to have an incredible talent right from the start, earning the respect of some of the biggest names in the game. He turned Braga into a well-oiled machine and just a few months later achieved the unthinkable with Sporting. Yes, in fact, Mourinho was the first big name to spot his talent on the sidelines. That's why during his time at Man United, Mourinho invited Amorim to the Carrington Academy for inspiration and insight. While it has not been officially confirmed, many claim that Mourinho's work has had a massive influence on Amorim. His leadership, tactical setups, and above all, his ability to control a dressing room full of tough tempers like Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Romelu Lukaku have left a lasting impression on Ruben. To this day, the respect between the two remains strong, with Amorim often referred to as Mourinho's apprentice. Well, for now, Amorim is following in Mourinho's footsteps, and it remains to be seen whether he can surpass his master. Like any young and inexperienced manager, Amorim started out at the bottom, in his case, of Portugal's third division at Casa Pia. His introduction to the job, however, was anything but smooth. His first 2 games ended in defeat, leaving him with wounded pride and an uncertain future. In one heated moment, Amorim reportedly declared that if he lost the 3rd game, he'd quit. Determined to find a solution, he switched to a 3-4-3 formation. Although he had never used it in an official match, Amorim's belief in the formation paid off and saved his coaching career. Not only that, but the decision became the foundation of his managerial philosophy, and to this day he has never changed his main approach, with the 3-4-3 becoming his go-to formation. But Amorim's journey at Casa Pia wasn't without controversy. In January 2019, just weeks into his tenure, it was revealed that he was managing the team without having completed his coaching badges. This led Casa Pia being deducted 6 points in the league, but that was not all. Amorim was banned from all activity for a year. Although the suspension was lifted shortly afterwards, he handed in his resignation. Fast forward a few months and Amorim found himself in charge of Braga's first team. Yes, it seems he impressed the bosses at the top flight club and they gave him their vote of confidence in early January 2020. And well, his journey there was spectacular. He won his first 2 games and his third happened to be a Super Cup final against Porto. Well, he won that too. And over the next 2 months, he won 10 out of 13 games in all competitions. Braga's meteoric rise under the young 35-year-old caught the eye of Sporting CP, who were in desperate need of a new manager. They wanted Amorim so badly that they decided to do something completely unheard of in Portuguese football: pay more than 10 million euros to release him from his Braga contract. Yes, it was crazy. Yes, it was a gamble, but one that paid off for Sporting, and here we'll understand why. Amorim arrived at Sporting exactly 60 days after his stint in Braga. Sporting, however, was struggling a lot for silverware at the time. They hadn't won the Primeira Liga in 18 years and were always third in the country behind Porto and Benfica. But after Amorim's arrival, everything changed. In his first full season in charge, he led Sporting to the 2020-21 league title, ending a near 2-decade drought. The team didn't just win, they dominated, going unbeaten in 32 consecutive matches and securing the title with 2 games to spare. It was all done with his trademark tactical stability and, of course, his signature 3-4-3 formation. His silverware success wasn't short-lived, however. The following season, he won the League Cup, and in his last full season, he won the league again. Furthermore, his influence revitalized the club financially, as the academy players he developed fetched record fees, with Manuel Ugarte's €60 million move to PSG being a prime example. We also have Nuno Mendes to PSG for 45 mil, Mateus Nunes to Wolves for 47, and Pedro Porro to Spurs for 40. All of this combined makes Amorim the most influential sporting manager this century. But where does he stand in terms of a historical context? Without sounding too dramatic, Amorim happens to be the second most successful manager in Sporting's history. In 4.5 years at the helm, Ruben achieved a win percentage of over 70%, which is exceptional in modern football. For comparison, his idol Jose Mourinho, for example, has only achieved such figures at 2 clubs: Real Madrid around 15 years ago and Porto in the early 2000s, when he achieved exactly 71% on both occasions. Of the other clubs he has managed, Mourinho was most successful at Inter and during his first spell at Chelsea, when his percentages were in the 60s. His second spell at Stamford Bridge saw a drop to 59%, then 58 at Man United, 52 at Spurs, 49 at Roma, and now 60% at Fenerbahce. The only historical figure to surpass Amorim's achievements at Sporting is the legendary Hungarian Josef Szabo, who was in charge from 1937 to 1944. Szabo boasted an astonishing 77% win percentage and won 2 league titles during his tenure, establishing Sporting as a dominant force in the formative years of Portuguese football. Ruben Amorim's meteoric rise hasn't just earned him and his club's accolades. His legacy has rewritten history. As we said, back in 2020, Sporting CP shocked the world by paying the first ever €10 million release clause in Portuguese football. At the time, it was one of the highest fees ever paid for a manager, but it wasn't even in the top 5. Brendan Rodgers to Leicester with 10.4, and 2 fellow countrymen, Andre Villas-Boas and Jose Mourinho, 15 and 16 respectively, were in front of him. Now, a little less than 5 years later, Manchester United paid another 10 million, and Amorim is now completely second in this list. There has only been one other time in history when a clause of over 20 million has been paid, and that was Graham Potter in 2022, when Chelsea and Todd Boehly paid Brighton 23 million. In 2021, Bayern Munich also joined the books, paying Leipzig exactly 20 million for Julian Nagelsmann, so it looks like the German is tied with Amorim for second on this list. Nevertheless, Ruben is the only manager in history to have 2 separate release clauses of 10 million euros or more paid for him. And now let's talk about the one thing that is 100% certain about Amorim: his talent for turning around underperforming clubs. At Braga, he inherited a team in crisis and quickly turned them into a trophy-winning unit. In just his third week in charge, Amorim won the Taça da Liga, demonstrating his ability to adapt quickly and achieve instant success. This knack for transforming teams from strugglers to contenders carried over to Sporting, where he revitalized a club that was at its lowest point. They hadn't won the league for so long that fans wondered if they'd ever see them lift the trophy again. Now, at Manchester United, Amorim faces a similar challenge. In his first game in charge, a draw against Ipswich, the problems were evident, and like a true professional, Ruben made it clear that Man United will suffer for a long period because his new style needs more time. Of course, we can't be 100% certain that Amorim will win the league, European Cups and FA Cups in his first few months, but it is certain that we will see a newly transformed Man United with a completely changed identity and mentality. What's your opinion of the new Man United manager? What is the biggest change you expect him to make in the coming weeks? Let us know in the comments section below. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy our entertaining football content. Thank you for watching, and catch you in the next one.